Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our family and friends updates. And thank you for joining us today. We're just talking about the weather that we hope to be enjoying the sunshine today and in the coming days. It has certainly been a long winter, so we hope the sunshine is finally with us from today and onwards. My name is Petronila Ntebele. I'm the Director of Strategic Communications and Stakeholder Relations, and I'll be guiding our program today. We are joining from different places, and many of us are now calling Canada our home. And before we begin, we would like to start with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty is signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. We also acknowledge that we are all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. Today, we pay tribute to the ancestors of those of African and indigenous origin and descent. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items that we would like to address. If you would like to use our chat function, please do so and make a comment, and would love to hear from you so that we can keep our meeting going. So please feel free to use our chat function as indicated on the screen. Should you be facing any technical issues and would like some assistance, please do contact Atam on our team, and Atam is going to put his details in the chat if he has not already done so. And to all our presenters, a friendly reminder that Aminau Nanda will be controlling the slides today. And if you'd like any slide to be changed, kindly indicate so. On the screen shortly is our agenda today. We have important updates from our community participation supports and respite, specialized services, and our Community Living Month celebrations. This month, we also celebrated the National Volunteer Week to recognize the people's generosity and those who help us to strengthen our communities. Our work at Community Living Toronto last year, we are pleased to note that it was supported by over 300 volunteers who shared their time, their skills, and compassion with us, and we really appreciate that. Our Community Unplugged today is going to recognize some of those volunteers, and we are going to hear from them and one of our families we have been volunteering for decades. So look forward to that chat. And now on, I would like to invite our first presenter, who is Heather Dunn, Senior Program Manager, Community Participation Supports and Respite. Heather, over to you.
Thank you, Petronella. I'm actually so thrilled to be back and presenting for you this time. I haven't been presenting for Community Participation Supports and Respite for a while, but I have lots to share with you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with our children's program. The next slide, please. So our children's respite program, they had a very successful March break camp just up at Shadow Lake, where they had 100% of the families who were surveyed afterwards who said they would recommend the program. So after such a great March break camp, the team is ready to support summer respite. Couple little reminders for folks that our summer hours include additional hours, extended hours. So we moved to a 7-day schedule where we're doing days, evenings, and weekend overnights. We also are in the process of doing new intakes, and we'll be taking those new intakes up until June 13th. And there are still spaces available at Ennerdale as well as our McMillan location. And just some of the things that you can expect when you come to Respite is that the team will support the children to access many community events such as swimming, splash pads, zoos, aquariums, and all activities are planned in alignment with the children's interests. You'll see in the photo here that the group at Annandale is taking advantage of the new Eglinton Cross Line, where they're able to easily access the community using public transportation. So very exciting for them to move around to the city easily. We just wanted to also welcome new members to our leadership team, Abuzar Siddiqui, as well as our Children's Respite Coordinator, Christina Rimmer. They'll be able to support the transition into these new intakes, as well as to help you with your coordination of your visits. Next up, we'll speak about the adult respite program. So much like the children's respite program, there's much going on this summer. They're planning to bring back people who have been at program before, as well as those who are new to adult respite. There's lots of different ways that people can get involved. So what they can expect is there are some special engaging interactive activities, some fun experiences out in community, whether you want to come for the day or evening or overnight. Lots to explore there with adult respite. And they're taking intakes right now. And so please do reach out and reserve your spot. Up next. So up next, did you know that the East Mall hosts dances? So if you didn't know, now you do. They host these dances every once in a while. This month happens to be happening this week, Wednesday, April 29th. They're doing a themed night, a Mexican fiesta dance, which is only $12 to attend. What you can expect there, good vibes, lots of dancing, music, and best of all, time to connect with friends. Up next, we have two different types of fee-for-service programs. So this slide that you're looking at here is the spring sessions that have begun already. They did start in April and will run till the end of June. These sessions are at your traditional Community Junction location, as well as our new satellite locations. So we want to make sure that people have an opportunity to check them out. If you haven't registered yet, not to worry, spaces are still available and you can still register to join in the fun, and the rates will be adjusted according to the weeks that you attend. Also, in case you missed it, we have new satellite locations in the East with tons of awesome options for you to pick from. So for example, we have at Fairfax as well as at Finch locations, we have Dinner Club, Stage and Soul Karaoke, and lots of opportunities still available at these East End locations as they start to grow. So check out their Mind, Body, and Balance, as well as the Try It Out recreation activity at Foster's. Next slide, please. Oh, okay, that's the one. So this fee-for-service slide is really referring to those people who were looking for just one fun experience. You know, you can sign up for one day, you can come out for an event. We have our much anticipated, what's it called? Sorry, the Serengeti Bush Camp experience is happening again this year. We had it last year, and it by popular demand, we're going to do it again, and it's going to be an overnight excursion. This is at the Toronto Zoo, and people will, we're going to be doing that June 24th, and people will stay overnight to the 25th. Just want to remind folks that this is a one-off event. You can register on My Community Hub as you can for all the other items as well. And that if you do require staffing assistance at that event, please do register and let us know that that's something that you need. You'll be bringing your own staff support. Okay, and then just, oh, sorry, one more second there. So we will also be doing some other brand new special one-off events. These seem to be a real hit for folks. So there's a line dancing one, there's Blue Jays games, pizza and paint nights. Lots of things to do across the city from the east to the west. And we'll be wrapping up We All Belong campaign this year at our famous the Mix at 50 Fairfax on May 29th. So please, if you haven't tried it, please do come out. We'd love to see you there and celebrate We All Belong with you. This one's quick, Shadow Lake Camp, just letting people know the season's just around the corner, and we're very excited to have people come and join. There are some spaces available, but they are filling up quickly. And in case you didn't know, if you're interested in checking out Shadow Lake Camp and you want to just come up for a tour for the day, please do reach out to us and we'll arrange for you to come out for a tour. We're very excited. If you haven't heard of it before, Try It On for Size Toronto, so TIFS as we like to call it, is back up, and we're getting it rolling at our 65 Sibley location where we have a dedicated apartment for TIFSers. We are very excited for this program to get going. What is TIFS? You might be asking if you haven't heard about it. TIFS is a program for adults with intellectual disabilities that are looking to develop skills and confidence in semi-independent living. Each TIFSter, as we like to call them, each TIFSter's journey is unique and tailored to that individual. It takes place over the course of a year, and the TIFSters get an opportunity to practice and build their skills throughout the year, building on that process and on their progress throughout the year. Each person, by the end, developing their skills and building confidence and independence. So please, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about TIFS, please reach out to us. We also want to let you know that we will be hosting another open house on Thursday, May 7th, and it's a drop-in. So please do come in and check it out. That's Thursday, May 7th, 11 to 3. And yeah, we're excited to start to launch that program again. It's an amazing program. Last but not least, we would love for you to stay connected. If you have any questions whatsoever about CPS, Respite, Shadow Lake, or TIFS, please call or email us at our general line and we'll be happy to help you out. And just a friendly reminder that all of the programs that I mentioned today are all registrations all done on My Community Hub. And if you're not sure how to do the registration, we're here to help you in any way that we can. So thanks so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Heather. Lots of dancing, music, exciting activities. We really appreciate you giving an update, and we encourage our families to register on My Community Hub. And thank you so much for providing that. And that Serengeti Bush experience, camp experience, I think is going to be something exciting. No wonder why it's popular again. So thank you for providing the details. Many thanks to you and your team. Now it is time for our community unplugged chat, and it is my pleasure to invite Brad, our CEO, and our guests Susan and Andrew, who are long-standing volunteers with Community Living Toronto. Susan and Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. And Brad, I would like to hand it over to you now. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks Petronella. And we're going to focus today on volunteering. We just wrapped up, or the country just wrapped up, Volunteer Awareness Week, which ran last week, but we're happy to highlight a couple of volunteers that are really indicative of how dependent we are in community living and appreciative of the work that volunteers do. Just a bit of some numbers for people before we jump into the discussion with Susan and Andrew. We have about 350 volunteers that work with us on a regular basis that have contributed last year just over 9,600 hours of volunteer time. And that ranges from helping out with committees or on the board to helping out at our picnics or in programs, taking people on excursions, supporting our Moms Supporting Moms group or Dad Supporting Dads. There's a whole range of activities that we depend on volunteers from across the city and outside of the city to help us do things well at Community Living Toronto. And just a bit of volunteering in Canada has actually declined since the pandemic, which was interesting to me, but we're still very dependent on it. So really happy to see some other trends that are coming out in terms of Gen Z. I've got two kids that are in the Gen Z bucket. They often take a lot of a hard time for being too on their phones and to a number of other things, stereotypes. However, Gen Zs are also more likely to volunteer their time. Currently, it's a group that's very socially active and socially conscious and give of their time. And then older generations, myself and above, tend to give also a lot of time towards volunteering themselves. So it is something that volunteerism is something that helps pull together people of different generations across the country. With that context, I want to introduce Andrew and Susan, who are two stellar volunteers with Community Living Toronto with a long track record. And I'll start with you, Susan. Tell us a little bit about yourself well, let's just start with that. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got connected with Community Living.
Sure. So I live out in the Durham region. Been connected with Community Living I was actually doing the math a little bit earlier today. So Andrew and I have been married. We're actually celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary this week, but we started volunteering together when we first started dating. So we've been part of the Community Living, I'll say part of the Community Living family for well over 15 years now. I got connected through somebody who works at the organization, just hearing, what Community Living was about, what they were doing. And I was actually thinking about it a little bit earlier today, and kind of like one of my first sort of memories. We went to one of the picnics up at Shadow Lake when you were still holding the family fun fairs up there. And that, I think, was our first sort of real experience with the picnic. And we just went up to kind of enjoy the day and sort of see what it was about. And I mean, we ended up, I think we probably, put in some sweat equity that day anyways, because how can you not? But from then on, it was, how do we become part of this? We want to do this, and we've been doing other things throughout, but that was sort of the big one, I think, for me, where it was like, I need to be part of this going forward for a longer period of time.
Nice, thanks. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Susan said. I think that's probably true for a lot of volunteers that we've met through different community living activities. Is if you come out and volunteer one time, the chances of you coming back are quite high, because you see how much the organization means to the people they support and the staff as well. You meet so many fantastic people, and it's just it's a great opportunity to find more ways to get involved.
Great. So what now, 15 plus years, that's a long time doing different things. What is that has kept you engaged in, that has kept you engaged with Community Living Toronto specifically, as opposed to other organizations that you may also be involved with? Susan, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. So I think for me, it's, it's a lot of fun. For one, if you talk about the annual family fun fair, like it's an amazing day just generally. But it's about the people, and it's about the relationships that we've managed to build over all of these years. You get to know everybody. You get to know the people who work at Community Living, who do an amazing job day to day. And then you get to know all the wonderful people that you support, and we start to build those relationships. So even if you're only seeing them once or twice a year at various events, we're getting high fives, we're getting hugs, we're getting, how are the kids, how is your mother-in-law, how are your friends? Like you get to know all of those amazing people, and build those relationships over time. There are folks that we follow on social media, and Andrew can go into it a little bit more, but there's one person in particular who volunteers everywhere himself around the city, and Andrew and our daughter run into him all the time at the TFC games. So it's always, let's go find Gordon, let's take a photo. It's building those relationships, but it's also seeing all the great things that Community Living does for all of the people that you support. And having been a volunteer for so long, seeing all the different things that come into play, right? And how everybody rallied throughout COVID, to make sure that the people who couldn't get out of their houses to do things were still, we're dropping off, fun packages, care packages, you're dropping off, personal products and items and stuff. Like everybody kind of rallied. And I think that's a really great thing to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, similar story, or what's kept you around for so long?
I mean, absolutely. Like, I think what it is it's just it's such an all-encompassing kind of rewarding experience. You know, to Sue's point, right? Like, you get to see what a difference the volunteering work that you're doing makes, particularly for people like community living support. But you get to form these friendships with people. You know, and you see them to Sue's point. I mean, I imagine a lot of people on this call know Gordon. And he's at our booth every year at the Family Fun Fair. And then I get to see him sometimes when I go to a soccer game, and there he is volunteering in the community himself, selling 50-50 tickets and things like that. But I think it's also that, you know, there are just, once you get involved with an organization like Community Living, you find out how many other ways there are to get involved, right? You know, we've been going to the Family Fun Fair and helping out there for more than 15 years now. But then during the pandemic, we were able to get involved by helping to make drop-offs at different care homes. You know, we participated in other programs as well. You know, it's finding that variety of ways, you know, that you can give back and that you can help is really fantastic.
That's good. I mentioned sort of there's some characteristics of volunteers, and that the Gen Z generation is interested in volunteering and helping in a different way. It's also a requirement for school, but this is just beyond that, that there's also some compassion and care and interest in being socially conscious. And then, you know, my parents are older and they volunteer regularly at a church they're going to and organizing food drives and that kind of thing. So it is some commonality. Have you, with your friends, colleagues, etc., do you have other people, or do you have a sense as to what is it about volunteering just in general that beyond just the sort of belonging to a community and that, but what do you think is it that will attract people or has attracted people to volunteering in their communities that you would sort of celebrate or tell people to, if you're thinking about this is also something you can benefit from? Yeah, I'll start with you, Andrew. Sorry,
Sure. Yeah, no.
It's not because you're married that I keep talking to you as like you're one person. That's my
No,
bad.
that's
But
okay. That's okay.
Sorry, Andrew. Go ahead.
I'm used to people talking to Sue and having her answer for both of us. It's all good. I think what it is, well, exactly what you said, Brad. Like, you know, they're the reasons that people get involved are as different as the people themselves. You know,
Right.
like over time, you know, my parents have started to become involved. They volunteer at the family picnic every year. They've brought friends of theirs who are all, you know, baby boomers as well, and they've had a great time helping out. And then at the other end of the age spectrum, you know, Sue and I have brought our kids. They started off coming to the family picnic as babies, and you know, they weren't very helpful at that time, but they were there. But since then, as they've grown
But
up,
probably
they
pretty
see how
popular, right? Like I would assume
very
that very
popular.
popular,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely, almost as popular as the snow cones. But since then, you know, now that they've grown up a little bit, like they get to come out and they get to help out themselves, and it's great to see that kind of transcend down to them and see how important they see the event is every year, and them getting a great sense of what they can do within their own community to help people out.
Yeah. Susan, anything to add?
I think that it's you know, it's sort of taking that first step to say you want to volunteer somewhere, whether it's community living or somewhere else, I think can seem a little daunting to people, because it's like, well, what am I going to have to do? You know, and probably pushes people out of their comfort zone a little bit. But I think it's helpful. I mean, for us in particular, when you have those connections and people who've already done it, you know, like I said, we went to that first fun fair and said, oh my gosh, how can we not be part of this going forward? And then just, you know, us talking to friends, like, you know, one of my best friends, she's volunteered as well. You know, and her kids have been coming, and this year, you know, they were slugging snow cones with ours. But, you know, I think it's that, you know, when you have people who want to advocate on behalf of, you know, the volunteers themselves, say, no, like, you got to come out and you got to try this. I think that's important, because I think it pushes people to go, you know what, it might seem kind of, you know, again, pushing you out of your comfort zone to go try something new. But when you see somebody else really excited about it, I think it helps.
So practically then, just to drill into that, Susan, so logistically, how does it work? So does somebody from Community Living Toronto reach out to you? Do you see something on social media you're interested in helping? Or for people that have not done this before, like practically, how does that work?
You know, for me, it's actually funny because earlier this year I decided, you know, I'd like to maybe try some other volunteering things out in the Durham region. And, again, it seems a little daunting, right? Like, am I going to go do this? Like, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to talk to people, and,
Yeah.
but it was helpful. I saw things on social media. So people were posting some things, and that was helpful to me because there was a call for volunteers. And I was like, okay, well then, let's go and see what this is about. So for me, that was helpful. I mean, if I knew somebody, who had done it, it would be helpful to hear from volunteers, kind of like what we're doing. And even on social media to kind of do like, quick, here's what our volunteers say. And, I
Right.
think it's helpful for people to see, other volunteers and hear their stories and understand that, you can get off the couch and do it too.
Right, right. And Andrew, sort of again for you practically, how does that work? So if you volunteered at the Family Fun Fair, and that is the scheduled hours that you have to be there, and what's that process been like?
Oh, it's great. It's very flexible. I think Community Living Toronto does a great job working with volunteers and making sure that you're able to help in the best way that you can. Right? Sue's points about people that are getting involved for the first time are great in terms of following social media and finding those opportunities. But like what I would say is also it gets easier to get involved over time. I think if we had reached a couple of months before the Family Fun Picnic and nobody had heard from us yet, I know we'd be getting emails and phone calls
Right,
to
right.
find out if we were going, right? So you build out those connections with the staff as well. The more you do it, and they're great about reaching out and saying, hey, we've got this great event coming up, or this opportunity. We really appreciated your support in the past. Is this something you'd like to help out with? So, again,
Okay.
the more you get involved, the easier it is to get involved.
Yeah, and the some of the practical pieces as well. Volunteers are welcomed, and we use them across the organization, as do many sports leagues, and there's a lot of opportunity. But there's also some expectations that comes with volunteering, right? And you talked about if you say you're going to be there at 9 and can stay till 2, you're being depended on to be there for those
Yes.
hours. There's also expectations around police checks, so that and you have to go to your local police station. All that. Has that been a seamless process, or is it cumbersome sometimes, or what's been the biggest, I'll say, sort of administrative challenge for you as you've volunteered? And Susan, I'll start with you.
Sure. I don't think administratively anything has been a challenge. The police checks, we all know those can take some time.
Right.
I mean, we have kids, so it's something that we typically have done anyways, in case you want to volunteer with schools and stuff like that. I think it's important about, being like that open communication, right? Like, there's usually an email that goes out to say, we need volunteers here at 8 a.m. So it's okay. Can I be there for 8 a.m.? If I can't, then I need to say, I can't be there at 8 a.m. I can be there at 9:30 because of whatever reason. So, I mean, I think that there can be challenges for people for sure. But I think then, my response would be to communicate, right? There's going to be some kind of volunteer coordinator, have a conversation, pick up the phone, send an email, and then just work through it. I need a police check. I'm not going to be able to get it for 3 weeks. Okay. So maybe I can't do the volunteering immediately. I'm going to have to wait until that comes through. But, I think it's just, you take it all in stride and just, again, have those conversations with people.
Yeah. Andrew, anything you'd add?
Yeah, I think, as long as the expectations are kind of clear up front, right? And again, like I think Community Living Toronto does a great job of that, understanding what you're going to be doing on any given day, what's involved in terms of travel or equipment or anything like that. To Sue's point, if it's something that requires a police check, letting people know how to go about that process, how long it might take. And it is, a pretty simple and straightforward process. But I think that's what's really important administratively is going in and understanding what the expectations are, both as a volunteer or if you're a staff member.
Yeah.
Working with volunteers, making sure people know what they're up for.
Yeah, the police check process has gotten better in some. So you've got to go to where you live to get your police check. And I think it's gotten better in many jurisdictions. I'm in Halton, and now it's entirely online, right? So you're uploading stuff and taking pictures of yourself, but you don't have to. When I first started volunteering with the kids' school and soccer leagues, or not soccer, baseball, you had to go in. You had to go in and find some cop at the desk and fill out forms there. It was not the most easier, but that's certainly gotten easier. Is it similar in Durham where you're at?
Yeah, it's all online now. You just submit it that way. I know I haven't had mine done in a while. I had one done a few years ago, but I think it was about a 3-4 week process to get it done.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. Unfortunately, it's not quicker, but at least
Yes.
it's a little easier than it used to be. So, you've been happy to volunteer at events and help out doing that. There are also opportunities for people to come in with community living in a number of different areas, right? And people often, we talk about a volunteer journey. You might start helping out as you've done with a picnic. Maybe you're an accountant, or maybe you've got a background in development, so you help with development projects around committee work and all that. So there is an opportunity to help out in other aspects of the organization. Just wanted to put that in there, that if people are thinking, it's not just doing things, if people have expertise,
Yes.
we've also got lots of capacity for that. Over the 15 years or more that you've been there, apart from your own relationship having bloomed through your time with volunteering with us, what's some memorable sort of relationships or events that have happened with Community Living Toronto in your time volunteering? And Andrew, I'll start with you.
Oh wow. I mean, it's hard to think of just one, I guess. Like being able to go to the fair. We've talked about that. That's a great event. I know that personally, through some personal connections, I was able to introduce a local Scarborough MP, Gary Anandasangri, who I'd worked for in the past, to the fair, and now he stops by, I think, almost every year for a visit. So like that was great to be able to help broaden the awareness of what Community Living in Toronto does. We've been up to Shadow Lake a few times and got seen what a great facility that is, and how much people enjoy it, and get to know the people that run the camp there as well. So it's just, that's the great thing about the organization, right? There are so many programs, there are so many events, there are so many ways to get involved, that you get to meet all these different people and have these different experiences about what the organization means to everyone.
That's great, and it's interesting that you mentioned Gary Anandasangri. He's you brought him to the fun fair, and he's also an MP in Scarborough and has been supportive of our projects out there, and supportive of work we do in Ottawa as well. So it's nice. You're one of the points of contact of several that we've got. And you're right, he does make a point of dropping by that fair, even as his portfolio has increased. And he's now a minister and has a lot more, certainly a lot more on his plate. That is another piece where volunteers play a really important role when we do member of parliament or member of provincial parliament visits. MP or volunteers or people who live in local ridings will often come with us, families or individuals with a disability, just to sort of show how the impact is happening locally in their community. So that's a great reminder as well. Susan, do you have a moment or a person or something that stood out for you in your time with us? I know you mentioned Gord and some others, but anything else that stands out?
I think just, I've done a lot of, outside of the picnic, I've done a lot of other things.
Right.
During COVID, I came in and packed rat tests. So, not glamorous, not exactly, a fun-filled day.
We should clarify what a rat test is for
the
people.
COVID
It has nothing to do
sorry.
with rodents, right? It's
Yes.
yeah.
But to get those out to the people who needed them, again, not a
Right.
glamorous day, snow cones are much, much more fun, but I think it's getting sort of those glimpses and sneak peeks into what other people are doing within the organization and the things that you guys are up against. Again, people coming together during COVID to do those things. So I think for me, I love seeing those little behind the scenes, you
Right.
know, and then you kind of put two and two together and go, okay, well, I've heard someone talk about this person and now I'm actually sitting next to them, you know, doing something. So, you know, those little things. And again, you know, I love Gordon. We love seeing him every year at the picnic and, you know, the few times throughout. Larry's another one who stands out.
Yep.
And Shaniqua, you know, whenever I see them, it's, you know, hugs, how are the kids? You know, and it feels good, right? It feels really great to see those people and have those connections.
It's part of community, right? It's all that piece
Yes.
around you're a member of the
Yeah.
community, and you've become that over the past, you know, decade and a half or more. So, so that's good to hear that's good to hear that.
Yeah.
For people that might be considering volunteering, whether with Community Living Toronto or anywhere else, tips, Andrew?
Oh, you know what? The best time to start is right now. You know, like if you're thinking about it, that's already probably a pretty good sign that you're going to enjoy it. So, you know, I would say find an organization. I'd plug Community Living Toronto for that.
I would too. Thank you.
But
Yeah.
no problem. But you know, find an organization that kind of speaks to what's important to you. You know, reach out and find a way to get involved. I promise you, for most organizations, there's definitely a role for you to play, whatever your interest is, whatever your skill set is. And yeah, if you're thinking about it, it's a good sign that you're probably ready to start.
Fantastic. Susan, any
Yeah, I
tips
would
or
say the same.
encouragement?
Just,
Yeah.
yeah, just, you know, get out there and, you know, put your name in and say, hey, I'm interested, whether, you know, community living or somewhere else. And, you know, how can I help? Here's my skill set or not, you know, yeah, I just want to come and, you know, pack bags or do something for the day. You know, and I think for us personally, you know, our kids are now 9 and 11. So, you know, they love going to the picnic every year and running around. But this year they really took an interest in actually wanting to help.
Great.
You know, at one point they kind of shoved us to the side and said, no, we've got this. And they were packing popcorn and snow cones. And we were just kind of refilling what they needed. You know, and since then, you know, they've both volunteered with other things for community living, and they wanted to, like they've said, you know, I want to go do this. It's not, you know, us in their
Right.
ear going, you know, you should do this.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, as parents, it's extremely rewarding to see that we're kind of, you know, in a sense, passing the torch and that we've instilled those same qualities in them to want to help.
Great. Great. That is encouraging. And it sort of holds with this research that they're saying about Gen Z types that want to do more of this
Yeah.
than I think sometimes people are given credit, or they're given credit for. So that's good to know. You are two of our fantastic 350 plus volunteers and very dedicated. So I want to thank you for your time, and congratulations on the wedding anniversary. Now you said it's 15 years of marriage, right?
Yes.
All right. The big plans, or is it a surprise? And I won't make
No,
anybody
it's not a
reveal
surprise.
anything.
We're going to Great Wolf Lodge with our children. So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
more of an exciting anniversary for them, I suppose.
I bet I haven't been to Great Wolf Lodge in a while. So the talking tree and the whole thing, you'll
Yes.
Yeah.
well enjoy that. Thanks again for your volunteer work, and also for taking the time to talk about your experiences with us today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much
Our
for having
pleasure.
us.
All right, thanks. And Petronella, back to you.
Thank you so much, Susan and Andrew, for sharing your wonderful memories of your volunteering journey. And it is quite encouraging that you are passing on the torch to your children. You are indeed a source of inspiration to many of us. And joining Brad in congratulating you on your 15th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to you both. And thank you for always taking the time. We move on with our program, and I would like to welcome Jennifer, our Senior Program Manager, Specialized Services, and Sarah, Senior Manager, Interdisciplinary Services, for an update on our Therapeutic Respite Program. Jennifer and Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Patty. Hi there. Okay, I had to unmute myself there. Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thanks for being here today. We wanted to take some time to share some an exciting pilot that the Specialized Services stream participated in. Back in the summer of 2025, we were approached by the Special Needs Advisory Group, otherwise known as SNAG, to help bridge a gap in service and explore whether we could help support that need. Very quickly, this collaboration led to the development of Therapeutic Respite pilot program, and it was led by Community Living Toronto. So back in October of 2025 to March 2026, we supported 7 children across 4 cohorts, all with very complex needs. Every single family reported being satisfied with the program, and most importantly, all children remained living at home with their families. Today, Sarah and I will walk you through why this program exists, what makes it different, and why we're advocating to see it grow. Next slide, please. So when most people hear the word respite, they think it means occasional break. But for families with children with complex needs, it's not always accessible. The standard respite service that requires sometimes it requires parents to be present during the whole stay, or if respite happens at home, it doesn't always work, especially when children have intense behavioral needs. Many children are actually turned away from respite because of behaviors like aggression, self-injury, or elopement. And when families don't get the appropriate support, it can lead to burnout, stress, and sometimes crisis situations. Not because families don't care, they're exhausted. This program was created specifically for families who not only needed the clinical support, but also needed a break. Next slide. So the Therapeutic Respite program, we needed to make it clear that this program isn't just it's not just childcare, it's therapeutic. It had a purpose, a therapeutic purpose. So each child had an individual care plan focused on skills like communication, daily living, and routines. These goals were created with the collaboration of the families and the team, as well as the service provider, whatever service they were connected with. The children stayed Monday to Friday. Most of the kids were in school, but they would stay Monday to Friday after school in a group. And that's where the families got a bit of a break throughout the week. And then on the weekends, they were with their child, back with their child. The parents were a big part of this process. They were involved in weekly coaching, and it was built into the programs with the RBA to work on skills and the goals that they were trying to develop. And so that way the families can carry on that progress at home on the weekends. So the interdisciplinary team supported each child, and everything was coordinated and very intentional. The goal is short term, and it was intensive, and the whole idea was to create a long-term change. Next slide. So when we talk about who this program was designed for, it's important to say clearly that it wasn't like an open-ended respite. There were specific criteria. So every child in the pilot had complex needs. And while many had the diagnosis of autism, eligibility was based on children having a diagnosed intellectual disability, along with at least one additional complex needs like autism, mental health or behavioral challenges, or neurological conditions. Children were between the ages of 5 and 17 years old, and all of them required one-to-one support to be safe throughout their day. Families didn't self-refer. Referrals came from a service coordinator from an agency that they're connected with, and parents had to agree to participate and provide consent right from the start. And then once the child was accepted, we developed a memo of understanding with the family and the clinical partners and laid out what the program would look like, the roles and responsibilities, who was going to do what, timelines, and how we would transition the transition back home. These families who needed the support to carry out these families were families that needed behavioral strategies at home, and many are dealing with things like disrupted sleep, challenging routines, and just everyday behaviors that made day-to-day life pretty hard for them. Most importantly, these families who had already tried respite options that didn't work. So this program was intentionally designed for children and families who were often told, sorry, we can't support you, and just give them a service that fits their needs. Next slide.
Jen, all right, I'm going to go through now what the different types of goals were that we worked with for each individual. So this slide shows the individual progress that each child made over the 5-week period. They all came in with goals selected by their parents, and so they were based on their unique needs. So the first child, so on the left here, you'll see the children, the goal, and how they did with that goal. And then there was also a second goal. So the first goal for the first child was communication. They had not begun using an electronic device as of yet. So by week 5, after introducing the device, they were using it at a 65% accuracy and independently requesting things that they needed. The second goal was showering. So tolerating the shower was a goal here. And with the steps broken down, this child was able to complete up to 45% accuracy by week 5. For child number 2, we went from zero independence in toileting, which was his first goal, at 56%, and fully mastered a visual schedule, which is a tool that, that the family uses at home now as well. Child number 3 is a pretty good example of a child who had no bedtime routine at all, and so they're awake at all hours of the night. But by week 5, they had a full sleep hygiene routine at 100%. Their toileting also improved by 20 to 60% by the end of the program. Child number 4 mastered both choice boards and visual schedules, going from a simple first-then board to managing a 4-activity schedule independently. So these skills really reduce frustration and challenging behavior at home as well. So these are real measurable gains in their daily living, their communication and routine, all achieved in just 5 weeks with our team working with each child. If you can go to the next slide, please. So with our next group of children, some of these stories really stand out for us as well. For example, child number 5 had not attended school for an entire year before entering the program. By week 5, they had a full morning routine and were attending school 100% of the time. Their communication also jumped as well from phase 2 of PECS to phase 3B, which includes an array of 24 pictures that they were able to discriminate between. So that was to an 85% accuracy, which is a pretty big learning in 5 weeks. Child number 6, this one was interesting because they could not tolerate wearing winter clothing at all for at any period of time, 0 seconds. By week 5, they could wear it for 10 minutes in the house and 30 minutes out in the community. And for family in Toronto and their Canadian winters, you can imagine how limited they were in places they could go. And for child number 8, we just want to point out there is an asterisk there. That's because this child came back for a second session. So the fact that the family came back was really great for us because they saw the value. And the continued gains prove the model builds on itself. So toileting independence went from 31% to 55%, and they tolerated socks on for 100% of the time. So across both slides, the takeaway is clear for us. Every one of the children made meaningful progress, not small improvements. These are skills that really change the daily life for the whole family. Next slide, please. Over to you, Jen.
Yeah. Okay, so we also conducted a parent satisfaction survey. This was the pilot. We wanted to see is what we're doing meaningful? Is it helping families and so on? So every family who participated completed a survey, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Families told us that the program was easy to access, staff were supportive, and communication was clear. Nearly all the families rated the program close to a perfect score across every category, and 100% of the families said they would recommend this program to others. So this tells us two things. One, the program works, and two, the families felt safe, respected, and supported. Next slide.
So we showed you the data, but this is what it felt like for the families. These are their words, not ours. So the top left, the staff listened to all of my concerns and needs of my child. They work with me on an ongoing basis. My son now keeps his shoes and clothes on in public. So as we said before, something as simple as keeping your clothes on in public was a really big goal, but ended up opening opportunities for them to engage in their community. On the bottom right side, you'll see a quote, this parent from cohort 2 captures what a lot of them told us, which was, it gave me the opportunity to rest and step back from the daily challenges while knowing my child was in a safe and supportive environment. That's the kind of peace of mind we're certainly looking for. What comes through in all of these quotes is the same thing. Families felt heard, they felt supported, and they saw some real change with their children. The clinical outcomes we showed on the previous slides are not just numbers, they translate into, to moments like these for the families. Next slide, please. So what sets this program apart from traditional respite, as Jen said at the top, is that we don't just work with the children, we're working alongside their parents. Coaching is built into the model from day one. Over the pilot, we delivered roughly 40 coaching sessions. 85% of the families attended consistently, which is really strong engagement rate for families who are already very stretched thin. Every single parent reported learning new strategies, and every one of them said those strategies made a positive difference for them at home. So they learned practical tools that they could use right away, visual schedules, prompting techniques, positive reinforcement, de-escalation strategies, and how to use communicative devices at home. So when a child goes home on the weekend, the parent already knows exactly how to reinforce what was practiced during the week. As one parent said, they really make sure you have the tools, they being we, to continue the techniques at home and in public, and that was exactly the goal. When a child leaves the programs, the skills don't just stop at the door. We want to equip families with bringing them forward beyond the program. So we are pushing for stronger post-discharge supports in our next phase. The coaching is working, and families certainly want more of it. Next slide, please. So this slide shows why the program matters, not just what it prevents, but what it makes possible. So on the left, you can see the types of outcomes families face when they don't have access to the right support, crisis placements, out-of-home care, and family breakdown. On the right, you can see what this program delivers. So with funding from MCCSS, we ran these 4 cohorts over 21 weeks, supported 7 children and their families. Every single child remained living at home, no crisis placements needed, and 100% of the families said they would recommend this program to others. And it has actually been renewed and we're currently running a new session. So we're really investing in keeping families together, giving children intensive short-term support so they can build skills, and give families the tools and the relief that they need to keep going. Next slide, please.
Great. Like Sarah said, the good news is that the funding is in place to continue this program for the remainder of 2026. But our biggest goal, our goal is bigger than, I guess, continuation. We want this to become a permanent service. So there are definitely more families waiting than we can currently serve. Families also told us that longer stays lead to even better outcomes. So we're exploring extending the cohorts. We also want to strengthen follow-up support so skills don't disappear when the program ends. Next slide. So when you look at the data, the satisfaction scores, the progress made, and the families that the fact that all the children had stayed with their families, the conclusion, I think, is clear that the therapeutic respite works. This program didn't just support children, it stabilized families. Our hope is that with continued advocacy and funding, more families will be able to say we felt understood and supported. Thanks for listening and helping us make this program possible. And that's it for us.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Jen, for giving an update on the therapeutic respite program and outlining the successful journey for each child over a 6-week period. We hope this continues to create more opportunities to families with complex needs children. So glad also to see the positive feedback, overwhelmingly positive from families. So thank you so much for providing that update. And I would encourage the team to provide contact details for you and Jen as well in the chat in case other people are interested in the program. Thank you. We have now come to our last but not least presentation. Is, next month is our Community Living Month, and I'm going to call upon Carla Dendrinos, media specialist, and Carla Atam, our digital media specialist, to talk about our activities that we have planned and our campaign, We All Belong campaign. Thank you, Carla and Atam, over to you.
So I'll just kick it off, and I just wanted to start with briefly talking about the Community Living Month. We all know that May is Community Living Month. This is the time that we take to recognize how far we've come as a community living movement, but also celebrate the contributions of people with intellectual disabilities. It is also time to reflect on something we don't always stop to think about, which is belonging. And because in a world where division can sometimes feel louder than connection, Community Living Month reminds us that belonging is still possible, and it is definitely something we can create together. And the truth is, the feeling of belonging doesn't have to be very complicated. It's not always this big dramatic moment. It can be very simple, quiet, sometimes even a little ordinary. So laughing with a friend, being included without having to ask, or feeling comfortable enough to just be yourself. And these moments matter a lot, and that's exactly what inspired our We All Belong campaign. So we introduced it for the first time last year as a way to celebrate these moments, places, and the people that make us feel like we belong. And honestly, all the people who participated, they made it something really, really special. Social media was filled with photos. Each one was different, personal, each one showing us that there is no one way to experience belonging. And that's what helped this campaign grow into something, I would say, bigger than we originally imagined. So of course we had to bring it back, and this year we want to be louder. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So our 2026 We All Belong campaign takes place on May 14th. And as always, getting involved is really, really easy. All we're asking you to do is just share a photo of your moment of belonging. And that's pretty much it. No pressure for it to be perfect. No need to overthink it. It could be as simple as a walk in the park, or like a coffee break with someone you enjoy spending time with, maybe a family dinner, or just a moment where you feel included, comfortable, or just like yourself. Take that moment, capture it, and share it on social media. Make sure to tag at CL Toronto and use the hashtag We All Belong so we can see it and share it. And last year we had a great response, but this year, again, we want to see even more people joining in. And as always, we want to make it as easy to participate as possible. So there's still a dedicated microsite where you can explore different photos from other participants. You can get inspired, and access our campaign toolkit, which has great ideas, lots of different messages for different audiences, and pretty much everything you need to know to take part in the campaign. And again, if social media isn't your thing, that's absolutely okay. You can also use microsite to upload your photo directly to it, and we'll make sure it becomes part of the campaign. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So if you want to show your support in a different way, we've also got the We'll Belong merchandise. Lots of different t-shirts, white, green, with symbolic of the campaign itself, as well as caps. Again, the campaign symbols on it, as well as community living branding. So if you represent any other community living organization, this is not the merchandise that we have, as well as the campaign itself, and you can see it on the visual to the right. It's not really branded to community and limited to Community Living Toronto only, so feel free to rock that merch throughout the month of May. And we're also adding something new this year. We are inviting partner agencies to join us as well. So if you're representing an organization, again, you can go to the microsite and fill out a quick form and add your name to the growing list of groups celebrating belonging across our communities. At the end of the day, this campaign is about something simple, but also incredibly powerful, because belonging is not really just it's not just nice to have. It's something we all need, and it's something we can all create in small ways pretty much every single day. So this May, let's share those moments, let's celebrate them, and let's remind each other what's possible when everyone feels like they belong. Thank you so much, and I'll pass it off to Carla.
Hi, everybody. Happy almost Community Living Month starting May 1st. We're looking forward to kicking off Community Living Month with the provincial-wide annual Shine a Light on Community Living campaign. That is starting on Friday, May 1st. Major landmarks across Ontario, including the CN Tower, the Toronto sign at City Hall, will all be illuminated in Community Living blue and green, helping shine a province-wide spotlight on inclusion, belonging, and community living. To ensure the people we support are part of this celebration in a meaningful and accessible way, we'll be sending glow sticks to all the programs and group homes. I have some glow sticks here to show you. To ensure that everyone can partake, these glow sticks are a simple way to take part, whether through a blue and green celebration, an evening activity walking around their neighborhood, or a shared moment of connection and conversation about community and what that means to everybody. We're grateful for the continued support in helping amplify this message and in celebrating the value of community living, not just during May, but all year long. We're also going to be at the legislature for Community Living Day at the legislature May 6th. And that's where community livings across Ontario will come together at Queen's Park. They'll even announce it in the presentation. And then we have an evening reception, and just watch our socials because we'll capture that day for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla and Atam, for outlining all those activities that we have planned during Community Living Month. And please do share, as has been indicated, your photo, your places, wherever you are, where you feel you belong, and we can post it on our socials. If you don't have any socials, please do visit our microsite or simply send an email to our team, and we'll find a way of making sure that we bring visibility to everybody participating. So thank you so much for highlighting all those activities. And as we come to an end for today, my sincerest thanks to all our presenters. It was a pleasure to have you with us and for choosing to be here this afternoon. And a special thank you to Susan and Andrew for joining us this afternoon. And thank you for taking that time to share all those wonderful memories. Our next Family and Friends update will take place in June. And as usual, we'll share our registration details closer to the event. Thank you for joining us, and have a grateful afternoon and the week ahead. Thank you.